of course, I mean, as Chris mentioned, I mean, absolutely most key priority is to make sure that we sort of transform now this project, which I would say, which is an organization, of course, that can deliver a lot, into a more systematic and bigger organization that can still deliver systematically good quality decisions. And that is a very key priority for the whole board in making sure that that happens, and that would be, I think, the most important thing, because if we have a great organization, we can do whatever. So that is actually the most fundamental thing that we have to do. We are in operations already. Let me just sort of make that clear. We are taking decisions, and I think, as I mentioned, the asset management contract that we have with the two banks are actually defining that certain smaller decisions they can take actually on our behalf, and we will quality assure that those are correct. But the major ones we are taking already. So we have a credit committee and an asset management committee already in function, and sort of meeting regularly and taking decisions, following the governance principles and making sure that we do that professionally already. So we are already sort of accountable for the actions coming out of the BMC. So there's no sort of, we are not shrinking back from that responsibility. What is happening now is we are responsible for fully. And even if the banks would do something stupid, we have to assume responsibility for what they're doing. But of course we're going to make sure that they do deliver as we would like. So just want to make that clear, and we actually have taken more than 10 decisions already on cases. So this is now a fully operational sort of organization. The other priorities we have going forward is, of course, to continue to make sure that we take the necessary decisions, and there seems to be a little bit of a pent-up demand for decisions from the files that we're now getting in. So there's actually quite a lot of requests from our asset managers now in order for us to confirm or take another decision on those behalves and make sure that we're actionable. So we're doing that, and that's going to be a continuous priority, of course, to make sure that we do that, because that's the main task of what we're doing. And similarly, there are also restructuring cases where we have to take a more proactive role in order to engage and make sure that we can find solutions, which might be not simple restructuring of a credit solution, but actually a little bit broader, and making sure that we find real restructuring solutions around that. And we are already engaging on a number of those cases already. So as we now getting more and more managerial control, we will continue to sort of make sure that we prioritize the right cases and engage in those and sort of go forward on those. The other one is, of course, that we have to make sure that this transfer process is not sort of now left as haphazardly, and we are ensuring the quality in terms of getting the appropriate documentation in. We are going to do which I think we talked about before, the appropriate real due diligence of those files as we get them in order to secure and even cure if there are some inefficiencies in that documentation, in order to make sure that we can optimize the values we get back. So that's also a big task that we're executing right now. Then we have a few other ones, and one very important one is that, of course, we have to do our audit. Since we now had a lot of assets coming in just before year end, we of course had to audit our accounts and create an annual report as a quite substantial asset manager, which we're also sort of starting immediately, of course. We're also starting our yearly process where the Court of Auditors will review us, since we are sort of utilizing public funds, and that auditing process starts on January 15th. So we will sort of have two auditing processes going on in parallel right now, basically now in January. More on sort of the planning side is that if you review our regulation, the new UREPA, basically also specifies that we have to now develop very quickly a business plan and financial plan, which sort of in the end should be fully approved by end of February. And we're working on that as well. As soon as we get more and more in, we can sort of refine that and make it more clear in terms of what our business plan and financial plan is. So that, should we call it, business and financial planning is also happening as we speak right now. And then, of course, let's not forget, we have one more bank to actually execute on, Abankia, and as soon as sort of their restructuring plan is confirmed by the EC institutions, primarily DG Comp, we will make the transactions and buying their non-performing loans as well. And as a payment, we will do another bond issuance in order to pay for those assets. So, and we expect that to happen in March or April. So, these 4 months when we do the transition period and also going into sort of the next 6 months will be quite busy for us, as you can understand. So, setting up the organization to make sure that we can deliver on those is, of course, sort of the underlying key priority as we look at this.